Welcome back to Booze Bros and Cars, your favorite podcast about booze and cars, and we're your hosts. I'm Eric.
Mike.
And I'm Nick.
All right. Obviously, if you guys can see, Carmelo is not on the podcast. He actually, due to law enforcement things, he had to work late tonight, but we still decided to go ahead and move forward with the podcast. First things up is going to be for what we're going to be drinking tonight, of course. So I have a couple beers. First one that I have is actually going to be one from Corporate Ladder. We've talked about Corporate Ladder quite a bit of times here, but this is their Worth the Squeeze, which is a watermelon and lemon sour. The second one that I have is Mike's favorite style of beer, which is a barley wine. This is actually from King Fox. So I've talked about King Fox maybe once or twice, or possibly 3 times here before on the podcast, but they have really good beer. They're pretty much the epitome of what a microbrewery is. It is a tiny, tiny place, but those guys, whatever they do there, they pump out some really delicious beers. So this one is actually called, as I'll show the can art again, it's called DDBIL. So this one is and it's very interesting. It's a barley wine style ale with vanilla. So I'm actually really excited to try that one because barley wines are a very, very specific type of beer that not everybody likes. Obviously,
they get you hammered and really badly hungover. That's
yeah.
what they do.
So I'm looking forward to trying that because of those reasons.
That's fair.
But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be drinking tonight. Mike, what do you got lined up for tonight?
So I got a couple different beers. First one is also from Corporate Ladder. We talk a lot about this, but it's one of their dessert stations. This is the pumpkin pie a la mode.
Oh man, that's such a good one.
Brought home one of these from the brew the last time we were there. So it's a gluten-free dessert beer conditioned on pumpkin spice, and vanilla ice cream. And I just poured it, and it literally just looks like pumpkin puree. It's just, I haven't tried it yet, but it looks delicious.
Yeah.
Number 2 is actually from Three Daughters out of St. Pete. It is a Rocket Pop vodka soda.
Ooh.
They have another one that's orange creamsicle, but this one is Rocket Pop flavored after the, childhood favorite treat. So something fun, something different. Vodka sodas are super popular these days, like ready to drink beverages. So try that out.
Okay.
Nick, what do you got?
Nice.
Oh, got a few things stacked up. Starting off with sake. Just got back with having some sushi with the family, so figured I would continue the sake. I couldn't even tell you who it is. It's Nigori Kukai Nigori Mango. So it's a lighter ABV mango. I mean, it literally looks like a mango juice. So it's a low ABV. Pretty delicious. However, it's like drinking a fruit juice with a little bit of alcohol in it. And then if I get to it, I couldn't decide tonight. I don't want to go Halloween just yet. I figure I'll save my last couple for next week since I officially blew my keg of pumpkin.
Ooh.
And I found this in my fridge. Honestly, this is probably a year old. It's from 1010 Brewing in Orlando. It is called Santa's White Christmas Stout. So something interesting. I have no idea what it tastes like, what all is going to be in it. If I get to it, I have that, and then as a backup, I don't know, maybe as a backup, had a bottle of bourbon, my Oak and Eden bourbon and honey on the side, just in case I need a little something extra. So that's it. But for now, yeah, just hitting the sake.
Nice. All right, so moving on. So we are going to do Guess a Track again this week. So I'll go ahead and post a clip of that video right here. So for anybody that did see that, go ahead and put it in the comment below to guess what track that is. I'm going to give you guys, the viewers and the listeners, the exact same clue that I gave Mike and Nick, which is it's a track in Europe. Only a clue that I'll give you guys, because it's, if I say which specific country, it kind of narrows it down to which track it is. But anyways, we'll go ahead and kind of guess that at the very end, like we did before. But on to the next topic, it's actually going to be a couple of things in regards to the racing world. So one of them is actually going to be Pfaff Motorsports. They're actually switching to McLaren for GTD in 2024. Or I'm sorry, GTD Pro. So previously, before, they were running Porsches. But from my understanding from the report that actually came out, they actually used to race with McLaren way back in the day, or they kind of still do. I guess they have something in like the Canadian series that they kind of, I guess, have like some McLaren sponsored cars. But they're going to be running now the 720S GT3 Evos, which, Mike, if you're looking it up, that car looks ridiculously good. So I'm actually really excited to see that on track.
It actually really does look ridiculous. And like if you do a little bit of research on Pfaff, like we watch endurance racing, watch IMSA, which they compete in a lot of, in the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, stuff like that. There is definitely, they're pretty deep rooted in it. Anybody that's seen their Porsches out on track, it's kind of that black, red, gray plaid color livery on their Porsches. They look super cool. But they're going to McLaren now, and yeah, that 720 GT3 Evo that they're running just looks insane. It just makes me wonder, like, why switch from Porsche to McLaren? Like, maybe Nick, maybe you can understand this a little bit more, being in the automotive industry. Do you think it's more like sponsorship?
I feel like
has changed over, or
I feel like as with anything, it probably has something to do with money.
Yeah, of course,
probably.
Because there's no money to be made in racing,
right? Or the owner personally decided to switch his personal cars from Porsche to McLaren. I mean, you know what I mean? It could be something that simple. You just never know. But I've always made this assumption, and maybe one of you guys, or maybe you both know. Is this the same Pfaff that does like suspension and all that stuff, like major racing components and stuff? I've always wondered.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I've always assumed it. I've just never actually asked.
So
it's possible. It's possible.
According to the Motorsports website, it's one of the most successful sports car racing teams in North America over the past decade. The team has led over 5,000 laps, achieved 36 pole positions, amassed 36 race wins, 7 championships. So, and capped by 2 consecutive IMSA WeatherTech sports car championships. So, they've definitely got some tenure in the racing world from the sound of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I would assume they probably have something to do with manufacturing in some.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just I know I've seen the name around. I think I've seen some guys running that suspension on Corvettes, like street vets. I've never actually.
Didn't they have some drama? Like not that long ago. Was it Pfaff or was it somebody else?
I don't know. I do know. I don't know if you guys remember this. I think it was just this last year at Sebring. Didn't we bump into Chris Pfaff, like the owner? Wasn't he up on the
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. He was at turn 10.
Turn 10.
Yeah. On the so for anybody that knows Sebring, anybody watching this that's ever been to Sebring International Raceway, turn 10 is like world renowned for being one of the like the best turns in the racing world, not only for the race car watching, but also just for the people watching, if you will. Like, it's a really cool turn. They've got a scaffolding built every year. They're like the friendliest people ever that you'll ever meet when it comes to like racetrack regulars. They invite everybody up, and you can, whether you're a photographer or not, you can go up and take pictures of the cars going around essentially one of the hardest braking corners in the track. So it's super cool. But yeah, Chris was, I remember because there was wasn't he with like a little, I don't know, like he had a bunch of groupies around him. when like a couple
Yeah,
people
like
came
a
up,
kid,
like a
I was
photographer,
like,
and like one of his guy like team members was up there with him. So kind of cool.
Yeah, they were. If I remember correctly, there was like 2 or 3 guys that were around him, and then what caught my attention is that there was a couple guys that they were sitting up against the scaffolding, with laptops and like their race gear, and they had like headsets and everything. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I guess that they were like collecting data. Like
Yeah.
Turn 10 is so awesome. Me and Nick actually had our first experience with Turn 10 last year, and Mike, you actually had your first experience with Turn 10 this year.
Yeah, I did.
Which is actually really cool. Like you said, excuse me, those guys are super awesome. They're down to earth, and yeah, like you said, they invite everybody up to take pictures and actually enjoy Turn 10, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's arguably, we've known a Sebring for years, and it's probably one of the coolest spots on the track, just because like at night, Sebring, when we go, it's a 12-hour race, so that those nighttime hours and even like dusk, that braking zone is such a hard braking zone. You can see all the rotors lighting out as they get on the brakes. So it's super cool. It's one of my favorite spots.
Yeah, for sure. It's like it's like a parade of cars just like kind of just driving by, because they sound great. They have wait, hold on, I gotta be careful with putting the thumbs up because my laptop's gonna do the
do it.
Is it gonna do it?
No, it's not gonna do it tonight, probably.
Probably not, right? Yeah. But yeah, it's so the cars, the sounds of the exhaust, and then also the lights, like the LED lights that are on the cars. I actually have a couple of videos that I've taken from Sebring. I'll go ahead and I'll clip that right here. So you guys can actually enjoy that. But yeah, it's super cool. Definitely, like how Mike said, it's one of the coolest things that you can see at nighttime, because
and like
just
honestly,
it just is great.
That's one of my favorite corners, because like you've got that hard brake zone, then they accelerate coming out of 10, and they go into like 11, 12, 13, which is like that crazy tight switchback. But like seeing race car drivers like drive through that, like where it's you come out of turn 10 hard right, and then it's like a left right left before you hit the next corner, and like those guys are just full throttle the whole way, and just watching them and like seeing the different classes, like the prototypes are passing the the GT2s and the GT3s out there. It's a cool spot to watch racing, because that's another fun thing when you have like a hard braking zone like that. Sometimes you have cars that fail and they inevitably lose their brakes and end up going into the dirt, kind of off into the wall over there. So there's some exciting stuff that happens in that corner. So it's a cool spot.
Yeah, and we actually saw a few cars going off track at that corner. So, which is very interesting, because I feel like turn 7 is a lot more brutal of a track braking wise, because you have cars that they're doing like 150, 160 down to turn 7. From turn 5 to 7, they're doing roughly right around that speed, probably maybe 140, 150. But you're hard braking and making that hard right, which is pretty much almost like it's more than a 90-degree angle if I'm not mistaken. But it's funny that turn 10 is not as brutal of a braking zone, but you see a ton of cars going off track, which is weird.
I think a lot of them, because like you've got the whole crew braking heavy coming into 7, right? And they've got their distance markers, so they're tuned into that. And I think by the time they get back around and up to 10, they're trying to pass people and they're just balls to the wall. And I think some of them just overshoot it because they're in a very competitive, wider spot of the track where they can try and get around somebody. And I think that's where it happens. They kind of try and come around somebody too hot and off they go.
That's also what I feel like I've noticed is like, to Nick's point, that part of the track leading up to 10, between 8, 9, and 10, like back there where the oak tree is and like all that, like that soft curve. Like it's a really wide part of the track. And there's a lot of passing going on. So they're coming in hot. And I think, I think they get on the brakes a little bit harder in situations where they feel like they're going to pass somebody, but they can't make it, whatever,
Yeah.
But it's a cool spot. Not to go too off a subject here, but this is kind of an interesting fact that I didn't even know this. I was looking more on the Pfaff Motorsports, which brought us to this whole topic to begin with. When they convert over to McLaren with the 720S GT3 Evo, according to the internet, this is going to mark McLaren's first foray and entry into the GTD Pro classification for IMSA. So that's kind of cool. I didn't realize that. I think they were in what is the other GT for IMSA?
Daytona.
Well, it's the GTD is Daytona. But there's another one. It's the other.
There's two. Is GTD and GTD Pro.
GTS, or is it GTD GTD Pro?
Yeah, it's GTD and GTD Pro.
Gotcha. So, because we've seen McLarens out there before.
Well, I think a lot of the factory, like McLaren, Ferrari, Lambo, or a lot of Pro-Am things you can buy your way into on a lot of them and just race, whether you're good or not. Obviously, a lot of those guys are good because they're spending that kind of money. They're not going to throw it away. But, so I think that's where that is. It's way easier to get into one of those because you can buy it out of the factory than build a prototype or something like that. So this is kind of that next step, which is cool for McLaren because it's going to just, give them a little bit more clout, a little bit more, diversity in their portfolio for racing. So to be part of a full pro team now. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it shows they're serious.
Funny enough, the one thing I did know about Pfaff Motorsports is their the family had dealerships in Canada. I think they still do. But somebody with some dealership money has a race team. The dream is real.
Get on it.
If you guys, yeah, right. Well, if you guys have noticed, there's I mostly remember this in I can't remember if it's actually during the IMSA race or if it's during the Continental Street Challenge, but there's a few cars that are actually sponsored by dealerships. I remember there was a Lamborghini, I think, that was sponsored by Lamborghini of South Carolina or something like that, or Lamborghini of Virginia, one of those states. I'll have to hunt down a picture because I know that I took a picture of one of those Lamborghinis.
There definitely are, man, because there's some, like the Ferrari we have down here in Naples is owned by a gentleman who has a larger group, and a lot of them are high end. Like some of these guys that are running like Ferrari, Lamborghini, Porsche, and they've got some more mainstream dealerships under their groups. I mean, there's some big money there, and hey, why not write off through your dealership? As an expense, So, plus I'm sure they get a great deal on those factory GT cars. So,
great deal on a $500,000 car.
I mean, hey, if you save 20 grand, you save 20 grand.
I guess
that could be the full suspension for your race car.
Yeah,
or a set of tires or two.
Yeah, or a set of tires.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember, man? Or actually, I don't know. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
I think it was you and me, Eric. I know where you're going with this because we stopped by the tent that one time. He was telling us like how much money was on one stack. Is that what you're thinking of?
Just this last year I was there.
Oh, you were there too. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, you were there too. I think we calculated it was like what, like $10,000 to $15,000 in tires alone.
Yeah.
God, dude.
It's so stupid.
That does not include...
They just have them stacked up there, like, just in the middle of the walkway. Just like all these wheels and tires.
I don't think we factored in that includes the... What are they, like, those wheels? They're like magnesium, like titanium magnesium wheels.
Magnesium alloys.
Like it's...
Yeah.
Really expensive wheels on top of already expensive tires.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the guy was telling us like the combo wheel tire at a minimum was like 2 Gs.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's ridiculous, man.
yeah,
Per wheel.
just yeah.
Yeah, per wheel and tire.
So it's just like shit.
Yeah,
you gotta have some deep pockets to race on that level, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's only money.
Because that's all it is, an expense. You're not really getting money back out of it. It's just an expense.
Can't take it with you when you die.
That's true. That's why you got to get on that Andrew Tate level where he just kind of throws away money and he still makes more money.
You gotta be like
Mr. Beast,
bitch to do that though.
Dude, Mr. Beast too.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Beast has I don't know 4 billion YouTube followers, so he can do
he makes a lot of money.
I think he's like the highest grossing YouTuber. I'm pretty sure
he's probably one of them. Yeah,
I think he was for this last year too. He took the top spot.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you guys want to see us get to that level, start sharing our stuff, and we can start doing a lot more shenanigans and still do our podcast. So like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Help support this guy's Porsche 944 build, please.
Yes.
No, more than that. No, we all need matching 911 GT3 RSs so that we can do track days.
Dude, at this point, I'd be happy with just matching base 911s.
Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say that honestly, the cheapest thing we could probably do is just get the ND2 I guess ND2 Miatas now. Like we can just all get all matching ND2 Miatas, just different colors.
I wouldn't be too mad about that.
They're way more affordable.
Yeah. But we do want to get to GT3 RS level, so like, comment, share, and subscribe. Yeah. Please sub. We'll work for more shares. So still continuing on with the IMSA news. So this one's actually going to be really interesting. So Jordan Taylor, maybe you guys don't know who he is. He's probably by far one of the
greatest, one of the better racers, most entertaining.
Yes,
hands down.
Entertaining because this dude puts out the funniest videos, like, or in posts, like in social media. Yeah. He's such an awesome guy, and like how Nick said, he is an incredible driver. Dude is badass behind the wheel of the CA Corvettes that are running around track. But he is no longer going to be driving for Corvette, and I am very sad to say, because obviously I own a Corvette. So he is actually going to be going back to Wayne Taylor Racing, which is actually owned by his father. He's actually going to be driving together with his brother, Ricky Taylor. So a couple years ago, Wayne Taylor Racing actually was backed up by GM. So they were driving, I think they sponsored the C8s, the C7 and the C8s when they first came out. And I think they were doing the Cadillacs.
Yeah.
Well, no, they have a Cadillac DPI now.
Well, that's who Wayne they Taylor were sponsoring before. No. They jumped
up. They're Acura now, aren't they?
Yeah, they're Acura now.
Acura, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. They
but
had
Cadillac. They had Cadillac. They had Cadillac. So Wayne Taylor Racing ended up going to Acura. So now they're running it's called the Acura Type S. So they're running those now, and then Ricky or Jordan Taylor is not going to be driving a Acura Type S. He's no longer going to be driving a Corvette, unfortunately. I mean, I'm sure,
sad, but it's nice to see him go back to his family again and like go back with because he'll be right with his brother again, right?
Well, yeah.
So I mean,
it also hasn't been that long. It's only been like 2 years since he kind of forayed off and did his own thing there. He went back to Corvette because he's a big Chevrolet guy. He's a big GM guy.
Dude, have you ever read his little love letters to his vet?
Oh yeah, it's hilarious. They're so
hilarious.
funny. Yeah. Anyone watching this, please just go on Facebook or YouTube and look up Jordan Taylor and follow his page. It's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
He has a what's his name? Rodney Sandstorm, I think.
Oh
no, his alias that he
Rodney
goes
Sandstorm.
by.
Oh yeah,
he's like all dressed
he's
up
all done out in the DuPont colors, the old school DuPont colors.
It's so funny, and he's so passionate about what he does, but he brings a lot of humor to it. And he's really active at racetracks, like in the off hours where they're not doing testing and they're not, training regiments and all that stuff. Like he's actually out
Yeah.
talking to people. Like he's like made his way around Sebring several times. Like he's gone to turn
Yeah.
10 and like coming out at turn
Yeah.
10 and just
Yeah.
and we're talking like a racing celebrity, if you will, just hanging out with
Oh
people,
yeah.
talking. And,
No, he definitely he's got to be probably one of the most personable in the U.S. circuits for sure in terms of being with the people. You know what I mean? And that's probably what makes him so likable and so well known is the way he gets out there and actually mingles and socializes. And then on top of it, he's a phenomenal driver.
He's a phenomenal driver.
So it's like he backs up all the crazy bullshit that he does by just beating people. Like so, you can't even you can't hate the guy. I mean, I'm sure some people do, but you can't. You really can't. You gotta respect it. I mean, you gotta respect every aspect of it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Awesome. He's great.
Yeah, but actually, one thing interesting that I didn't know, I think I found out this recently, and I sent it to you guys, which I didn't realize he was a Florida local.
Yeah, that's when you see them racing on their that little kart track he's got. That's like part of their driveway and shit on the family property down here.
Oh, okay.
I mean, think about it. Who wouldn't want to be in Florida or even Tennessee when your family's got that kind of money and there's no state income tax? You know what I mean? So that's why a lot of those guys are down in Florida and stuff like that, is because less taxes.
Well, that, and I feel like
all year, no snow.
Yeah, well, that like the weather's actually a lot better than other states, but I feel like with Florida, depending on where you are, people really don't care what you do like on your property, because like how Nick said, they have like a go-kart track around their property. I've talked about him before, but Adam LZ, he bought a 30-acre compound and pretty much everything is like paved in concrete. He created his own drift track.
Dude,
like so he just drifts around there. Oh my god!
If I had the money.
Oh yeah.
So one thing about Jordan too, didn't he race in NASCAR too in a Camaro? For
that
like
I don't know.
Amount of time. I think he did. I'm trying to remember where. I'm looking it up right now.
That kind of rings a bell.
It's possible. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because this is GM, so he does a lot of GM stuff.
Competes full-time in WeatherTech Sports Car Championship for Corvette, which that is just changing, but part-time in the NASCAR Cup Series, driving the number 9 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 for Hendrick Motorsports.
Oh, okay.
It's awesome.
Nice.
I thought he did that. I mean, none of us are NASCAR guys, but it's still cool.
We kind of are because they own IMSA, so...
Well, yeah, that's true.
So we kind of forcefully are. I mean, I used to be a big NASCAR fan when I was a kid. You know, NASCAR was way more part of the automotive industry back then. It was the whole win on Sunday, sell on Monday. That was the whole thing, you know. So like, for my dad when he was in the industry, so as I grew up in it, I was, my whole room, I had these nice plexiglass mirrored cases around the entire room with Mac Tools, nice die-cast NASCARs everywhere. Yeah. Everything. I mean, I had one just for, because I always loved Jeff Gordon. That was like my favorite. I wanted to be the next Jeff Gordon. I had one case just for all his cars. Nice. I had a bunch of things, signed and stuff like that. Because something that was like cool, and I thought about this in the past, like I started racing quarter midgets, the little go-karts on clay tracks. That's how he started, and he worked his way up to NASCAR. So like as a kid, that was my dream. And then at a certain point, there was a realization that this takes a lot of time and money, even though I knew some of them owned a race team back then. And I'm also a little larger than most of your drivers, height-wise, let alone weight. So that kind of knocks a lot of you out of a professional, potential on something like that. It's hard to fit in a small cockpit of something and get in and out quickly. So,
yeah,
that's fair.
I can see that. But yeah, I'll actually do, Mike, I'm gonna link Jordan Taylor's social media pages on the description below. So check him out, like how we've been talking about Jordan Taylor. He's freaking hilarious. Dude's
Jordan,
awesome.
if you want to be on the podcast, just drop a comment. We'll gladly throw you on here. No problem.
Heck yeah. Actually, so I have to add an additional kind of note to that. So who I would love to see doing a collab with Jordan Taylor, and it's funny enough because they have very similar names, kind of, sort of, but it's Taylor Ray. So you have Jordan Taylor that does the grip racing in the Corvette, and then Taylor Ray does the drift racing or drifting in his C7 or C6 Corvette. So I would love to see them doing a collab together, and they're both in the Orlando area. So
You know what would be funny is if Taylor Ray had to do like grip racing for a day, and then Jordan Taylor had to drift for a day. See how they would.
So really interesting thing about Taylor Ray, he does grip race. Yeah, he used to do
Cool.
go-karts before, and he's actually currently right now, as we are doing the podcast, he's actually at the Tail of the Dragon, tackling that in his oh my god, F80 BMW, no, F80 BMW M3.
That's
Dude's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, I feel like you'd be surprised, man. A lot of these guys that are professional racers, regardless of the discipline, probably given a few laps to get to know something, could probably do way better than any of us could or ever
yeah.
expect.
Well, and there's a lot of them have usually done multiple different disciplines to get to the
God,
one.
right. There goes Eric
Hey,
again. Eric's
balloons.
partying.
Balloons.
Yeah, and that's why I think they're in a car so much they understand the dynamics and the physics, and the moment they play around with it and flick a couple things around, they see how it handles, and I mean they pick it up pretty quick.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Like, especially if it's somebody that does it professionally, in theory, they just need a couple laps to kind of feel out the suspension. If they don't like something or how it feels, they'll just pit the car. Whoops, kind of hit my microphone there. They'll pit the car, tell the mechanics or the techs like what's not working right. They'll make some adjustments, go back on track, make sure that it's running right, and they'll just send it. I mean, like, we've seen that obviously, like, in every form of racing. We've seen that in Formula One, IMSA, drifting, name it. Like, every motorsports, you're gonna see that. So, but yeah. So sad to see Jordan Taylor leaving Corvette racing, but definitely excited to see what he is going to be doing in that Acura Type S.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see what he's going to bring to the table for them. Again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Well, for Wayne Taylor Racing.
Again for Wayne Taylor Racing. Yeah.
Yeah. But another team that is actually coming up with some news this week is the Heart of Racing. So obviously, Heart of Racing, they have, dude, I love those cars, man. Not just because they do the Aston Martins, but their liveries. Those cars are so beautiful.
Yeah, you like that.
They got that drift car too. That's gnarly.
Oh my god. Okay, so from what Nick said, I'm going to clip another video right here.
Darren Kelly, a champion from New Zealand, a new car. Woo. Oh my gosh. Listen to that bird sing. Darren Kelly a little low on the bank. Quite a contrast from Jonathan Hurst's vehicle. This is like an opera compared to the slam dance that is Jonathan Hurst.
And it's the Aston Martin with the V12, just as you guys heard. That thing is screaming and drifting. It's glorious. I love the sound of that car. The thing sounds so badass. It sounds better than the freaking IMSA race car, which is crazy. In my opinion, I think it sounds better. I don't know what you guys think.
I mean, we're talking V12 over a twin turbo V8. I mean, they're both glorious, but there's just something about the extra 4 cylinders naturally aspirated that is just magical.
That thing screams, man. It sounds so good. But anyways, they're going to be running the Valkyrie in GTP. I think, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think you were the one that sent us this in 2025, right?
I don't know who sent it, but I'm pretty sure it was 25. Yeah,
I think I'm the one that shared it. And yeah, I think it was 2025. Okay. Yeah, I mean it's crazy because the Valkyrie is a hypercar. It's not even a supercar; it's a hypercar. And I know, I think they're going to go to. Aren't they going to debut it at Le Mans? I believe. I mean,
that would make sense.
That's where I read it.
Yeah.
But Heart of Racing seems to have their heart, if you will, set on Aston Martin. That seems to be the platform that they use and the manufacturer that is really behind them. But it's super cool. Their liveries are really nice with like a greenish blue plaid looking color with like yellow accents. Their cars sound amazing. Like I know. So what were they in the GTD and the GTD Pro classes? probably.
Yeah, they
for
were running
IMSA.
I think they were running the Vantage in those.
Yeah.
Well, they used to run in two different classes though, because they had I think they had the Vantage, and then they had, I think it was the DB something,
The DBS.
DBS probably in the GTT, which is cool. But I'm excited to see. I mean, essentially they're graduating, they're moving up. Now they're moving up to. I'm assuming this is going to be a prototype, right? So this is going to be a LMP.
Is GTP, so P might be for prototype. Yeah, you might be right on that one. So GT
I
prototype.
would think. Either way, I'm super excited about it. I think it's cool. They just seem like,
and
it just
you
seems
got to
like
talk about them too, like in terms of a team, and they're like being personable. They're one of the ones you can walk by the pits, and they'll explain like the airflow and the hoods and everything. I mean, they had everything opened up, like the full carbon hoods, and they were explaining like how the air flows work. Like they were super open to talking to people and explaining how the aero works in the cars and stuff. So just as a team as a whole, I support them for that aspect. They choose beautiful cars that sound amazing, but at the end of the day, I don't even care if they're good at it. They're personable, and they make it fun for the fans that want to learn about these things and see a little bit more up close and personal.
Well,
because
wasn't it? It's important. It's an important aspect of racing. It's you've really got to have that fan engagement. Like talking about Jordan Taylor, talking about Harbor Racing now. Like without the fan engagement, these guys don't have anybody to watch them race, and I think that's a big part of it.
And I think that's one of the things. I think they're learning this from WEC, because the WEC guys, some of them barely speak English, and they'll still talk to you.
Yes,
and they'll still be honest with you. Right. So it's really cool. Like when WEC is in town, and we get to walk their pits, which are immaculate for anybody that hasn't ever seen the WEC versus the American circuit pits. They're pristine. But
on that point, like this last year at Sebring, so 2023, when I was up there the day early with Eric, because I went up for all 4 days this year. Seeing the pits, on that side, and it's like you said, none of them speak English. A lot of them are European, a lot of them are German. But it's so cool. Like they're the nicest fucking people, and they'll invite you into all of their pits. You can look and touch things. Like we were walking around in the back, and there were guys inviting us to just take carbon fiber pieces and whatever,
broken off pieces.
It's like whatever. Just it's cool. We can't use that, so it's just trash.
Like man, we can all right, so we'll do it on a later podcast, but we'll literally just talk about our experiences at Sebring. But so I want to point out two things, which is first off, this year, where actually we first heard that we can take like the broken carbon fiber parts from race cars. Do you guys remember that those little kids that were walking around with like brake disc and carbon fiber,
full blown rotors and stuff?
Yeah, that was so fun, and they were trying to sell this shit to us. And we're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
that was last year.
Yeah, kudos to those kids. But
hustlers.
But actually, there's two other points that I want to make. So one of them, yes, you guys are right. Like the WEC teams, super down to earth, and like how you guys said, they're very open to just kind of engage with the audiences or with their fans. Nick, I think you and I had this last year, but we were walking around the pits before Mike and Carmelo got there. But we had a few guys actually explaining to us, they were driving the hypercar. It was one of the hypercar teams, and they were showing us like what the lights were.
Yeah, I want to say it might have been Gazoo Racing with Toyotas.
Possibly. Yeah,
I think it might have been them.
Yeah, which is crazy to think that Gazoo Racing, the mechanics were just kind of shooting shit with us, and they're just like, yeah, so like these lights, like green means you're good to touch, red means that you should not touch it. Yeah. So and it's because of the hybrid system, because it's on at that time. So that's why the red light is on, so you don't touch the car.
We were walking through the pits. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think, because like I said, it's Gazoo Racing. They're like pretty much world known at this point, because they're helping Toyota's building production vehicles, like the Supras and the Corollas and things like that, and the GR86. But as far as I heard, I think this year, 2023, was the last year that WEC is coming to Sebring. So which is not going to be a super Sebring anymore. It's just going to be a 12 hours of Sebring now again. But also,
it sucks, but
Nick,
Well,
I
mean,
like
the plus side
accessibility
is
be there
maybe they can
again.
bring back some of the oddball things like the
That's
vintage
part of
racing, the
it.
Yeah.
Miatas, and stuff like that. They'll have
I
more
hope
time and
so.
room for that.
I hope so. Because
yeah,
I
because they're not
mean,
going to be doing as much testing and tuning anymore. So in
no.
in
Or
qualifying,
the
so
entire race on Friday.
yeah,
Yeah, but that was year one, Eric, when you and I went. Like we got to see the Miata Cup race, and like that was hilarious. Just it's like a bunch of 180 horsepower cars just like buzzing around the track, but they were like all packed together. It was super tight racing. It was fun to watch, just because that's all about driver at that point. The car's not doing you any favors,
No.
But
no,
I'm
for sure,
for that.
it's not.
The classic car racing was fun too, just because you
dude,
saw
that's
a lot of really.
It's
cool
just awesome to
vehicles out there.
see some of those things on the track.
Yep.
so the Spec Miata race and the historical class race.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Probably by far one of my favorite races, because with the historical class, you don't know what's racing, and
No,
historical
all over the
doesn't
place.
just historical just doesn't mean vintage. A lot of people actually have that misconception of historical class. It's literally any car that has historical significance in motorsports, which is crazy.
Which you get, like the first one I saw, I'm sitting there watching like all these old Ferraris and stuff go by and things I couldn't even recognize. And then here's a last gen Camaro just cruising down because the new gen was out. That's now historic.
Well,
like that's it.
Yeah. The last time we watched it, I want to say the Delta Wing was also competing in the historical class too, which is cool.
No,
because
it was an IMSA. It was an IMSA.
No,
it was running the 12 hours.
I remember we watched an IMSA, but I want to say the year after they retired it from IMSA. I think it did the historical race after that, which was like, I don't know, it's still a long time ago. This was like
For me, the one that still stands out the most was that Lola. What was it, the T67 or something? What was that thing called?
The Lola T7. Oh my god, that thing is beautiful.
Yeah, those things are loud too.
Oh my god,
because it had the individual throttle bodies run on all that space down. Like it just looked awesome. It sounded beautiful, looked beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a great car. But yeah, so I am kind of hoping that they bring back the historical class, which I believe they said that they might. So I'm actually pretty excited about that.
I hope so, man.
Yeah, that would be great to see again. But anyways, so wanted to go ahead and do a beverage recap. Mike, do you want to go ahead and start that off for us?
Yeah, I can do that. This was everything that you would imagine it would be, as you saw me
so good.
hold up the glass. I mean, it literally was like pumpkin pie filling, like liquefied. Like it was delicious. Definitely a one and done. Like most of the things from Corporal Ladder, honestly, this one wasn't as sweet, but it was thick, very thick, creamy. Had a lot of the cinnamon and nutmeg, all those flavors, thick and creamy. Carmelo would just love. He would go to town on that line right now.
Yeah,
missed you, buddy. But yeah, this was really good. Just got into the Rocket Pop a couple minutes ago, and this it's super tasty. It's more sweet than any particular flavor. Like if you've had a Rocket Pop, like the actual popsicle, like you get the raspberry part, and then you get like the whatever, the lemon from the white, and then the blue is like raspberry or whatever. But like this, it's kind of sweet. It doesn't have like an overwhelming flavor to it, like as far as the fruit, but it's pretty good. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, it's fun, something different.
So if you're tasting the individual flavors on a Rocket Pop, you're doing it wrong. You're supposed to just take it and just. If you don't gag, you're not doing it right.
You do you, buddy.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you. Eric, what do you have?
So
what's your recap?
Yeah. So my recap is worth the squeeze. Great. I mean, it's 5% alcohol by volume beer, so it's actually very light. It was a little on the sweeter end, but it still tasted really good. It tasted like a water lemonade. Essentially, it tasted really good though. But like I said, it was just a tad bit too sweet. So yeah, corporate ladder beers, I mean, they're delicious, but yeah, you guys are right. It's usually just like a one and done type deal, unless you go to the brewery and you get like a flight of their beers. Yeah, it's usually just kind of like a one and done. The second beer, I actually just kind of tapped into this one, which is the King Fox DDBIL. Man, it's so freaking good. Like, I cannot talk about these guys enough, and I kind of wish that they were a lot closer, because I would probably buy every single beer that they sell, because holy shit, whatever they did with that is so freaking good. So it is a little bit more on the stronger end. It is 14% alcohol by volume. On the description of the actual beer itself, it says that it's notes of dark fruit, chocolate, and pastry character. You can kind of sort of taste the chocolate flavoring that they say it has, but you can mostly taste like the dark fruit. But man, it is so freaking good, because it's sweet, but it's not like a in your face sweet. It's more like of a subtle sweetness. But so Mike, I know that you're not a fan of barley wines, but I feel like you actually might actually enjoy this.
So I had some previous podcasts, we talked about this. I had some bad experiences, but I can appreciate the beer for what it is. It is definitely a very complex beer style. There's a lot of flavors hidden in there just because it's such a big beer. They use so much malt and a lot of times adjunct, meaning different sugar sources to get the alcohol. So it's got some really complex flavors. So I get it. I can appreciate it. I just had a really bad experience once, so kind of leaves a sour
prison
taste.
does that to you.
Yeah, listen, man, never going back. Never going back. Nick,
don't drop the soap.
Yeah. So the Kukai Nagori Mango Sake was delicious. I mean, it literally tasted like I had gotten like a fresh squeezed mango juice with a little kick to it. I mean, the alcohol was barely noticeable. Again, it's so imprecise. It just says alcohol 7 to 8%. Like it's not. There's not a specific. That's really what the bottle says. It gives you a range. So obviously, it's not super scientific on it, but it's very delicious if you like mango. Drinking the 1010 White Christmas Stout. And I wasn't thinking about it, that it's a white Christmas stout. Did not expect that when I poured it. I was expecting, I'm in my mind, I'm thinking like a normal stout, not like a white stout. So it's pretty trippy to have that nice kind of light ambery color, and it's got a nice body to it. It's definitely not like a lot of the Christmas ales you get with all those Christmas spices and flavors forward. It tastes like a very solid stout with a little spice, and not like a heat spice, but just a little bit of that kind of Christmassy spice to it. Whether it's I don't know if it's like a nutmeg or something, but just kind of hits your tongue and gives you that little feel to it.
You like it when the nutmeg hits your tongue?
I have no clue where I bought it, but it's pretty good. No clue where I got this thing from. None. I think I bought it last year someplace. Bought one of them. It was the back of my fridge. But it's
sounds like your wife bought it.
It's a possibility, dude. Here's the problem. We go to number 3. We get drinking, and then before I close my tab out, I always walk the shelves. So, dude, I've left there spending $200 off the shelves plus whatever I drank. Like I bought that Delirium that I haven't opened yet because I have to share that with my wife. But it was a $50 bottle of Delirium, one of their anniversary ones.
Is it the black one?
Yeah. Black and gold one. So I bought one of those the other day. I got drinking, and that was it. I saw it earlier, and then I got a little buzz, and I'm like, I'm buying it. That's it. And then, of course, I grab other things too. My wife grabs things. So $300 later, and I drank some beer, and I brought a bunch of beer home with me. So, and when I say a bunch, I'm talking like 6 bottles plus whatever I drank. Like, we ended up buying some expensive shit. But I get to crack them open on here and try some cool things.
Yeah.
Which is fun. That's what I try to do when I go there. I try to find something unique. And unfortunately, the more expensive ones are the ones a lot of people aren't going to cough the money up for to try. So somebody's got to do it. Why not me? My bank account feels differently, but why not me? So here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Nice. I actually kind of wanted to buy that bottle of Delirium because, man, the bottle looks so sick.
I know.
It looks so cool. But yeah, no, I'm don't want to spend that much money on a beer right now. But yeah, so back into car talk. So for anybody that is involved in the drifting series of Formula D, we heard some really heartbreaking news last week, which is that one of the best drivers in the Formula D playing field announced his retirement. Because he announced his retirement last week, Thursday, for the final round of Formula D, which was in Irwindale, I'm actually wearing his shirt. So Chelsea Denofa announced his retirement, unfortunately, which sucks. I've talked about Chelsea Denofa before, and the dude is a beast of a driver. He is an animal. I think Mike, you and we kind of saw Formula D when we were driving up to Bradenton a few month or two back. And man, his driving style, he is such an aggressive driver. Like, he is the type of driver that chucks it in, and he's in TMRTR. And those Mustangs, how they have their suspension set up, literally the rear end squats and the front chasing tire lifts off the ground. So if he's chucking in left, the left tire is literally off the ground, and the right tire is leading, the right tire is leading, so left tire is up in the air. Dude's an animal.
When he announced this, does he say what he's doing from here on out? Because Chelsea's he's in his 30s, like mid 30s.
Yeah,
like that seems like a real weird time to retire from the sport that you're.
I'd be willing to bet he's still going to be involved. Like, he'll probably still be part of RTR racing. You might just see him helping develop new talent, maybe.
That's possible. Because so I'm not sure. I kind of still hope that he kind of eventually comes back. I heard a rumor, so don't quote me on this at all, but there was a little incident that happened this year at New Jersey where him and literally a whole team got into it. I can post a video of it. It's actually a little long, but I'll go ahead and clip that right here.
Was out there and at angle to a point where Stuckey said that it distracted him and he was not able to perform at the highest level. Instead of giving Denofa an incomplete on both runs, the way that it works now is it is out of the judge's hands. We have 2 driver stewards. Those driver stewards need to come into agreement on what the application of the rule should be, and essentially they can decide any outcome to move forward on. So what's going to happen is we are going to have 1 run in the books, and it will be the second run that we will rerun again. Now, obviously, I'm sure Denofa was not happy about that.
Fuck you, man. Even it, like, what the fuck? Like, they're just flopping. It was 1 hook pin. I don't know. I've never met such a bitch drifting in my fucking life. You guys, if it was a close battle, I wouldn't be arguing this, but I buried you motherfuckers in the ground, bro. You guys got fucking smoked. Your lead run was unchaseable. He dropped the tire, bust a wheelie, blast a bumper off at me. My hood's flopping. You got a problem with it? Man, I've never met so many fucking pussies in my life. And I'm ready to fight you guys whenever you'd like. So if you want to throw down, I'm fucking ready. Because you guys are a bunch of fucking pussies. Yeah, cool, dude. Great. Be the bigger man when you protest somebody because their hood's flopping.
We had it down against us?
Yeah. God damn, dude. When we finish, dude, get ready, bro. Fuck off. Just pack your shit in the fucking trailer. Fuck you guys.
FD initiating into that first outside zone. There goes Chelsea Denofa getting all the way out to the course, actually knocking over that outside zone indicator. And there goes Daniel Stuckey into the wall. And here goes Chelsea Denofa as Stuckey gets lost. He hits the wall. The frustration sets in for Daniel Stuckey. Chelsea Denofa into that last and final outside zone. He's flirting with that wall.
But it's literally him cussing out a team. Literally calling them every cuss word in the dictionary. So they're saying that that's part of the reason why I feel like Formula D may have pressured him to step back for now. but it got bad to the point that they had to change a rule in their rule book. Like that's how bad it was.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're having a good time, when they change the rules on you.
Yeah, but a lot of people that were watching this whole little debacle that kind of happened in New Jersey, they did side with Chelsea DeNofa. I was actually one of the ones that sided with him because of what the call was. But they're saying that kind of helped, or that was one of the reasons why he kind of retired, was because he was being pressured by Formula D to kind of take a step back. But there's also rumors going around saying that he might be drifting in the European circuits or the European drifting competitions, which is very interesting. Whoa, bless you, Nick.
Bless you.
Thank you.
But yeah, but that actually might be a good move for him, because there is some very aggressive competition in the European drifting competitions, which is specifically the Shanahan brothers. Those two guys are animals when it comes to drifting. They're actually better than Chelsea DeNofa, which is crazy to think. And also, Chelsea DeNofa's teammate was just James Dean. Those guys have actually, like, I don't want to say that they're better than James Dean, because James Dean's another animal of a driver, but they've beaten James Dean before in competition. So that says a lot about the Shanahan brothers. But it's not just them. There's a ton of other drivers too. I think Mad Mike might be dabbling into the European season series again. Because I know that him and
should know Mad Mike with all of his rotary contraptions.
Mad Mike is awesome.
All the rotors.
All the rotors.
His car sounds so sick. But it's kind of ironic that Chelsea DeNofa kind of announced his retirement, because he also won the championship for Formula D this year. So he is actually the 2023 champion of Formula D, which is great. He did go out with a bang. So he retired and then just won the championship, which is great. But for anybody else that actually did see Formula D, James Dean, I did actually just kind of briefly mention him. The dude is a trooper on top of being an animal of a driver, a beast of a driver. He got yeeted into a wall. So mind you, he drives a Mustang. So he was being chased by Matt Field, which drives a Corvette. And Matt Field crashed James Dean, yeeted him into the wall.
Everybody was aghast. He is out of the car. I will say that before we see this clip. You see him, James, Matt exchanging, but when they get into that outside zone 2, take a look. It felt like forever. Boom. Oh. Keep in mind, that is James Dean driver's side.
Yeah.
It's a right-hand drive Ford Mustang. You saw the thing go up, did a little bit of a nose grind on that front right wheel. Safety's there. Watch safety, tap his head. He's okay. Slow it down. Jacob, your thoughts? Glad he's okay. I know his ladies here in the building. She gave him a big hug.
You can see, I mean, at the transition, Matt is pushing really back up a lot of speed coming into it. And Matt came in with a bunch of speed, and it's just enough to push. They're all good. They're friends at the end of the day. I mean, it was a hard hit. I mean, James is known for wearing that Hans device around, and that's probably what saved him. As you can see, holding onto that shoulder a little bit. Does that play a factor later on? I don't know, but either way, that's a hard hit, and that is a banged up RTR.
The car literally did what is it? It's a grind. Like he grinded on the wall and everything. Like it was crazy.
You know what? I think I saw that. That was probably the recap that I saw. Did that just happen?
Yeah, that happened on Saturday during practice,
I saw that
or Friday. Yeah, Friday during practice. It happened Friday during practice. That clip alone has made its round on the internet because he got badly injured. Like I think they said that his shoulder was slightly dislocated, and the dude was still driving. He's like, fuck it. He's like, I'm gonna send it and I'm gonna keep driving. So that was great on his portion because he ended up still with a podium. Dude fucked up his arm and he still podiumed in third place, which is
Wow.
crazy. But yeah, it was very intense of the last final round, I guess you can say.
And
But
I just gotta throw it out there. I've never really drifted, right? I've thrown cars sideways and stuff like that. These cars are brutal. Like, they're raw. And I've never needed surgery, but I've pulled my rotator cuffs and stuff like that. Man, when you can't move your shoulder right, that's tough. Now, to imagine somebody with a partially dislocated or fully dislocated shoulder throwing one of these cars around with probably no power steering or anything like that and shifting and working, your breath. Like, that's insane. The thought process of that and the pain that had to be involved. I mean, there's adrenaline, of course, but that shit had to hurt. And not to mention, there's a loss of strength because of whatever that injury is, and he's still muscling one of these things around, which is that's insane. That's just proof that race car drivers are batshit crazy and have giant balls.
So, like, you actually might find this a little crazy, Nick, but one, they do have power steering. That's how actually drift cars drift better. They actually have power steering. And two, to kind of show how much power the RTR Mustang has, it has 1,111 horsepower. So he is maneuvering. Yeah, he's maneuvering a 1,100 horsepower drift car around the track at very high speeds because those cars are not slow, obviously. Yeah, and he's, as far as I know, his Mustang is the only RTR Mustang that has ever been built right-hand drive specifically for him. So he obviously had to shift and hit the handbrake with his left arm. So he was still steering with his right, which is his screwed up shoulder. So yeah, James Dean is an animal, man. He's another driver that I've mentioned before that is probably one of my top favorite drivers in drifting because the dude's is a beast.
I got some more respect for him, even though I've only heard about him and seen some videos through you. Yeah, just knowing he pulled through with an injury like that. I mean, that's wild.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so there's that. So we're gonna go ahead and get back into the guess the track thing. So do either one of you guys want to go ahead and guess what track I sent you guys?
I do.
Go for it.
I think I know it. Your second hint kind of made me think about it a little bit more.
Okay.
Is it Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Is it in Spain?
Yep, that's exactly it. Yep.
I could tell by the turns. Like,
originally, and I don't know why I was going to say Mugello, but while in the beginning, after I watched the video, I was up on Google and I just searched for racetrack layouts Europe and was going through because I could envision the layout in my head, but I had to see it, and I saw the one for Barcelona.
Yeah.
And that kind of ticked me off to be in the Barcelona track. But because you threw me when you're like, oh, it's one of two countries in Europe that speak French or Spanish, and I'm like, well, who the hell's the second one? I know is Spain. So I'm like thrown off. I'm like, I mean, I've heard like Gibraltar, which is a tiny little island, is Spanish,
Portugal, which is a form of Spanish.
So it's really
Portuguese, sir.
Portuguese.
Well, totally different. It's like dirty French and Spanish mixed together. How
that's why I said that it's a form of Spanish.
How dare you? I'm going to ask the guys that work that speak Portuguese tomorrow how they feel about that statement.
Straightaway followed by that.
It's not full Spanish.
So the straightaway with that really tight right-hand turn at the end. I was thinking Hockenheimring, which is Germany. Because I've played that track a million times in video games, but like that has like a long swooping left-hand turn after that quick right. And I was like, oh, that's not right. And then you mentioned the Spanish speaking, and I was like, shit, there's another track that I know that has that quick right and then a quick left, and then it turns back right again. And sure enough. So, hey, got one. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good guess. But yeah. So Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, so yeah. And on that note, that's all the time that we have here for today. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to savor your brews and hit the road responsibly. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that other good stuff. We definitely want to be to the Mr. Beast level and push out some really cool content and better podcasting stuff here for you guys. So cheers to booze and cars, and we'll see you guys next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.